For me, I would say, and this is what I've been saying now, is that I've found my voice because I've always been very quiet and not speaking up and just being very British, sort of, mustn't say this, mustn't say that. Whereas now I feel that, right, this has happened. This is big. My brother is now in spirit world. I've now found my voice. I will speak up. I will do the things that I've been afraid to do in the past because, I'm doing it not only for myself, I'm doing it for him.
Hello, and welcome to Grief, Gratitude, and the Gray in Between podcast. This podcast is about exploring the grief that occurs at different times in our lives, in which we have had major changes and transitions that literally shake us to the core and make us experience grief. I created this podcast for people to feel a little less hopeless and alone in their own grief process as they hear the stories of others who have had similar journeys. I'm Kendra Rinaldi, your host. Now, let's dive right into today's episode. Hello, we are so glad you're here and tuning in to listen to our conversation today. I am chatting with Linzi Meaden, all the way from the UK. Come on down, Linzi.
Hi,
Hi, Linzi.
Kendra. Hi, how are
Hi.
you?
I am well. I'm so grateful that we were able to find a time that worked for both of us with our time zones and that we were able to jump over the hurdles of technical difficulties and so forth before we started recording. But I'm so grateful that you're here. Thank you for connecting with me and wanting to come on to share your story.
You're very welcome, and thank you for having me here.
Thank you. Now, Lindsay, tell me, where is it that you live in the UK?
Okay, so I'm in the southeast, in Kent, which is not far from London, probably about an hour south of London. It's a town called Royal Tunbridge Wells.
Okay. And how long is this where you were born and raised in this area of the UK?
Yeah, I've always lived in the southeast, so I know this area. This is where my heart is. This is my home, and I know a lot of places here and have lots of friends. So it's a very special place to me.
Yeah, it is home.
Yeah,
Now, I was kind of going in through your Instagram yesterday to check, and you're a mom of twins. Is that correct?
I am. I'm what is classed. Sometimes they class us as geriatric mums in this country because I
Oh,
was
you kidding
I
me?
was I was 42 when I gave birth. So
Oh, I have several of my friends that have given birth after in their 40s. So,
I think it's
but yeah.
prime time, actually, personally, because I've done all I wanted to do before 40, and now in 42, I felt adult enough to become a mum. So, and having twins has been an absolute blessing. I've got one of each, and they are 4 years old, and they are just an absolute joy.
I love it. What are their names?
They are Charlotte and Henry.
Oh, beautiful, and and such royal names too.
They are, that's true, yes.
Love it, love it. Now, they are they in school or in pre-K, or are they home right now and playing or something while they wait
Gosh,
for you to be?
if they were here, you would hear them. No, they are at nursery school having fun, so that it allows me time to do work, and then they are at nursery school for a couple of days a week. So I get the nice balance that I love to spend time with them. That's so important.
Perfect.
But it's also good they spend time with children of their own age, and particularly during the pandemic, it's good
Mhm.
that they are able to still mix with others.
That's wonderful that yeah, that they have the nurseries open there.
Yes, it
So
is
now
good.
what is it that you do for work that you're able to work from home too?
Well, I've actually changed my business as a result of what's happened last year. Up until that point, I was working as a mind coach, so helping people deal with traumas and anxieties and fears. I've been doing that for about 8 years, I think. But as I said, up until June last year, that's what I've been doing, and it's changed a lot since then.
So wait, you were doing that, you were a mind coach sent up to June of last year,
Yes.
technically, and then
Yeah.
but what you're saying is something that actually a lot of people would be searching for even now, right? So, but I know that a lot has changed, and that's part of the conversation we're going to
Yes.
have too, and that may be
Yeah.
the reason. So, let's go into that. So,
Sure.
we will be talking about your brother and your grief surrounding his death.
Yeah.
So, let's, if you'd like to share your brother's name and how he passed away.
Sure. I'm just taking a deep breath.
Yes, please. And by the
um,
way, any moments you need to just be, and any questions I may ask that you do not feel comfortable answering, or that you just need a little bit more time to process, please take your time. There's no
Thank
hurry
you.
here. It's just a conversation.
Thank you, Kendra. Okay, so I come from a family, a small family unit of just the four of us, mum, dad, me, and my brother. And it's always been just the four of us. And my brother is 2 years older than me. We share birthdays, well, one day apart, but we've always sort of
What?
shared our birthdays. He's two
So
years
you're
older.
like, as if you're Irish twins, as
With
to
with 2 years apart,
with
but
two
yeah, I get
years
what you mean.
apart.
Yeah, there's two. But it's just that it's just having that birthday connection's been really special throughout
That's
our
wonderful.
lives. His name is Stuart, and we have always been just amazing siblings. We have got on with our own lives, but we've always been there to support one another, always could rely upon one another. And there's that familiarity of just knowing my brother's there, my sister's here, we are there for each other. It's just me and him. As you know, last year the pandemic hit the globe, and in the UK in March we went into lockdown, and in June we had the complete news out of the blue, complete shock to us all that my brother was missing. And then 3 days later, we had the even worse news that he had died by suicide. And that has completely turned our worlds upside down as a result, um, from him passing away since
It's
he's
so
passed.
recent. It's so
Yes.
recent.
Yeah.
And the conversation we had just right before we started talking was regarding even just the terms around that. Would you mind sharing with the listeners, especially those that are in the US, um, the verbiage of how it's used, died by suicide in the UK and so forth?
Yes.
Would you mind sharing that?
Sure. It's really, really important in this country that we refer to when somebody dies by suicide, that we do not use the term committed.
Mhm.
Um, it was in 1961 that suicide, dying by suicide, was no longer considered a crime, and therefore to use the word committed suicide is just simply has been removed from the vocabulary when we're referring to suicide. So we prefer to say died by suicide or took their own life. They're two of the sort of most common phrases that are used. It also removes the stigma that is
Yes,
surrounding suicide because um, unfortunately there still very much is the stigma, the shame, and everything attached to somebody's death by
death by.
suicide. So,
Mhm.
yeah, that's something that's really you might hear if you talk to anybody in the UK who has lost a loved one this way, that that word will just, yeah,
Yeah, trigger
trigger
it will,
something.
like, yeah, that word, yeah. It will just kind of, yeah, make you connect with something else. Now, thank you for sharing that. And I know that the words "I'm sorry" sometimes just can fall kind of not as lightly, those kind of terms that you're so used to hearing sometimes regarding your loss. But I am sorry.
Thank you.
Being that I also had a sister that was 2 years different than me, who'd passed away. That connection of your best friend, your dying is just, it's just very hard. It's your lifelong best friend because it's the person you first connected with, played with. So,
And as you
I
know,
am.
it's sibling loss. I found that as siblings, we can often be the forgotten mourners, um, because everybody tends to look towards the the
Parents.
people left behind, such as the partner or the spouse or the parents or the
Yeah.
children, but the siblings tend to get forgotten.
Mm.
I don't know if you found that yourself.
In my case, my sister was young, so she was 18, so she had not started a family. I was 21. So the focus, for sure, of course, my parents were a big focus, but I think
Mm,
because of her age, it was a little bit different because she had not,
yeah,
she didn't have her own other family nucleus aside from us as a family. So,
sure.
so I think that that may change partly maybe related to the age of the
Yeah,
person
that's
dying
true. Yeah, I
and the
think that's very
dynamics.
true.
Yeah. So in your circumstances, that was the case. And so, um, so then tell us then, so he did have his family and his kids as well. He did have, um,
No, that's the
oh,
other sad part to it is that he never had children.
mm,
So I feel that the end of the line has stopped for him, for his sort of,
mhm.
there's nothing beyond other than his parents in terms of sort of blood relations and me
Yeah.
as his sister. So my children, my twins, his niece and nephew, I feel are still are a part of him. But for him not having his own children is sad because I feel that that sort of stopped when he left. He wasn't married. He had a partner,
Hmm.
his girlfriend. They'd been together 2 years. Um, I mean, he's forever 48, and
Yes,
it's it's still it's still young.
absolutely.
48 is sort of midlife, isn't it?
It is.
Um,
Yes.
and it
There's still
yeah,
so
it
much
just
more ahead. Hmm.
absolutely. And to think that he's missing out on Charlotte and Henry growing up. I mean, he was their only uncle.
Hmm.
Um, and it's just devastating. And they love him so much. I've actually, it's just reminded me of, we've made some memorial bears out of his shirts.
Oh,
And Charlotte and
cute.
Henry have got one each. And Charlotte, in particular, just is so attached to her Uncle Stew Bear. She calls it Uncle Stew Bear. And she'll sleep with the bear every night, holds the bear, hugs the bear, talks to the bear, has conversations. It's just so beautiful that they've got
How
that connection.
How did you make these bears? Is it with his shirts? Like, are they wearing the shirt or do you make them
They're
made out
actually
of?
made from scratch. So I gave a local seamstress a lot of my brother's shirts and even pairs of socks because the ears have been made from socks. And she's
Cute.
just turned all the clothing into a bear. And there's a little heart on the bear as well, which is cut out from a pair of his jeans. So it's all items, and even the buttons from his shirts, and a little pocket as well, so you can put a little note inside. It's absolutely
This
beautiful.
is beautiful. How did you come? I had never heard of this, and it's just I'm getting chills thinking of this. What a beautiful way, because sometimes people do not know what to do with their loved ones' belongings, and they feel like
Yeah.
they're not ready yet to give them away or to do like to donate them, or sometimes they just keep them just as is. But what you're doing is just so beautiful. What you did was so beautiful. So how did you come up with this idea?
Actually, it's quite a thing in the UK. There's a
Yeah.
lot of places that do these types of memorial gifts, and weirdly, and I don't know if this is a universal sign, but about a month before, I kept getting on my Facebook a post coming up about turning shirts of um, a deceased loved one's clothing, turning them into little dresses for girls or little waistcoats for little boys, um, which I commented on because I just thought that's so beautiful. And little did I know, a month later, I would be in that situation where I've got my brother's clothes and I want to turn them into something. And I knew already about the bears because I'd already seen those. And another thing that I came up with is to make, because my brother had so many friends and colleagues, that I made little hearts. I got a lady to make little hearts out of his shirts with his name on, and they've hung them in their cars. So he's always traveling around in their cars whenever they're driving as a little
Oh,
heart.
So, so sweet. I love that. I love that. I had never heard of that. Thank you for sharing that. There's just so many different ways, right, in which we can um, honor them or hold them close
Yeah.
to us, and this is one I had not heard. So around let's keep on talking then a little bit about this. So using his clothes, creating these memorial bears for your children, what do you hold then close to you from his items? What did you make for yourself?
Well, I've actually bought a large treasure chunk, can't say the word, trunk,
Yeah, we say trunk, trunk,
trunk.
chest. Yeah, you
Yeah.
guys say chunk,
No,
chunk.
I'm saying it wrong.
Oh,
Trunk.
you
I just,
combined the word chest with trunk and made
I
it
did.
chunk. It is a chunk of wood made into a trunk.
Oh dear, I expect he's laughing along with me now, actually.
Yes,
Get your
no,
words
that's
out,
yeah.
sister.
Yeah, it's like with my
Um,
sister. There goes Lindsay making up. I make up words all the time, but mine happen to be mainly due to the aspect that I'm bilingual. So there's words
oh
that I'm like,
wow.
I am sure, like I'm like completely sure that they exist in English, but no, I'm like people looking at me like, or I make up say, or I say a saying
Mm.
that I'm just literally translating from Spanish to English, and that but that doesn't make sense. You know? So you're not alone in
Oh,
making up
thank goodness.
words, Lindsay.
Thank
You're
goodness.
not alone.
So I purchased a treasure trunk,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, we've sort of I've given mum's obviously got mum and dad have got several items, and his partner's got items, and then I've got items, and I think the ones that I hold dearly very much the things from childhood that he kept,
Hmm.
just some silly little things that just remind me of our wonderful childhood that we have. Um, he also was a massive collector of coins. And it's lovely to just have those and go through them and knowing that he enjoyed collecting them. There's a meaning behind the coins, a story behind the coins. He's very much into history. So he's also got a lot of books as well that relate to that. There's quite a few bits and bobs, but I think the things that I love the most, I've got an item of jewelry, which is made. It's a ring made from his ashes, and that is with me always. Um,
So how
ha-
do they make it straight, use it, or do they just embed the ash? Because I've seen like of lockets that people or that they put them inside
yeah, this
glass
is
or like
one that I sent off to a jeweler, a specialist company that, so I had to send the ashes off to them, and there's the ring, and they sort of blend it in with some sort of resin, I think.
oh,
Um,
okay, okay.
and it's coloured, so it's a sort of beautiful teal colour. And then it's got little crystals around the edge. It's stunning. I was so just overjoyed when it came back through the post, and
Hmm.
that's with me always. And I feel like he's always with me. Um, and I've also got a necklace as well, which again I just feel is a real strong connection. But yeah, I
To
mean,
him. Yeah.
there's so many. I mean, I've got photographs all around me of him, so I talk to him a lot. Um, some days I can look at the photos and smile, and other days I can't look at them. It just makes me cry. It's weird.
Hmm.
It's like that wave of grief
Yeah.
that some days
Yeah.
it's okay. I'm comfortable. I know he's in spirit. I know he's safe and happy. He's with me in spirit. Other days I look at his photo and I just break down in tears, and I feel such a sense of loss, and I really miss
Hmm.
his physical presence.
It's such a duality that of knowing that they're here yet at the same time, yes, missing them physically or missing the hearing of the voice or the touch itself.
Yeah,
It is, and like even if we have those beliefs of knowing that in spirit they're with us, it's still that aspect that we relate things with our what we see and touch sometimes, that's the
yeah,
those part of our senses are still kind of missing out, that we that it, that then there's this overwhelm of emotions as well. Now, With you mentioned then you speak to him. So has that been one of your tools of navigating this grief journey? Has been talking to him?
Absolutely. In fact, I don't think I would be in this place now. I think I'd be in a much darker place if I didn't feel some connection with him on the other side. Yeah, I talk to him a lot in my head, so it's not out
Yes.
loud.
Uh-huh.
Um, but he
You mean you're
does.
not walking down the street just like looking over your shoulder and like people looking at you like, who is she? I did talk like when I would be in my car by myself, then I do
Yeah, I do that.
actually, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay. Good, good,
I do
good.
that.
We're not the only loonies out there.
I do that. And in the garden as well, I'll sort of talk to him. But what I found is that he is very good at sending signs and messages. So,
Oh, please share, share. Which
um,
ones are some of these that you've
special ones.
recognized?
Yeah, on the day of his funeral, so that was 3 weeks after he passed, there was a beautiful white feather that landed on the doorstep. So as I opened the front door, just heading out to the funeral, there was this beautiful white feather, and to me that was just beautiful, just beautiful. I've had another time where it's at Christmas, and I went to a local shop, and I actually wanted to buy him a Christmas card. Even though he's not here, I still wanted to buy him a Christmas card. And I remember just being in tears. I was standing in the shop looking at all the cards that said brother at Christmas and all of this,
Mm.
and I was just in tears. I didn't care who saw me. I was just missing my brother. But I got back into the car, I drove home, and when I opened the car door and shut the car door, I turned around and there was this beautiful white feather attached to the door. Um,
Oh.
and it was just like he was saying, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Mm.
To have a feather attached to the car was just
Yes.
okay. I like that. Another
Yeah,
time
and
I've been,
they say that those are some like angel feather, like that when you
yes.
see a feather, it's kind of like an
Yeah.
angel wing. Yeah, that feather.
And another time I've had, oh, that's gone out of my head now. That's weird. That's really weird. I don't know what I
So
was
was
going
the
to say with that
feather?
one. But anyway, there's
Maybe because
the,
I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
that's okay. That's okay. It obviously wasn't meant to be. But there's also been because I very rarely listen to the radio in the car. And there's a couple of times where I've switched it on, and the radio has come on instead of my CD. And it's been a piece of music that's so connected to my brother, which again makes me go, wow, you're here. You're bringing a message through to me from this piece of music. Um, we've had things in the house. I've got a downstairs a frame, with it's a frame that somebody bought me with words and things connected to me and my life for my 40th birthday present, and I've got it sat on a bookcase in the hallway, and it twice has just fallen off onto the floor for no reason whatsoever. It's just literally just fallen off onto the floor. There's no reason why it would fall. Um, and I keep thinking that he's trying to tell me something. Um,
Mhm.
and there's been things like the smoke detectors in the house just go off randomly when we're not cooking and there's no smoke. And I know we can get signs through sort of the energy, so through electricity,
Oh, absolutely.
like televisions turning off and on just by themselves. So there's little things like that just make me know that I know he's doing this to make me know he's around.
Yeah, and then there's the sense for you, it brings a sense of calm and connection, correct? When you see those signs.
It does. It brings in a sense of, oh, you are. It just yeah. The connection is so powerful because I really
Yeah.
sense that he's here. Um, I really, I, I really do feel that, and that's so important to me because I think if I believed that he'd died and that was it and that was the end, I couldn't cope with that. There's no way I'd be able to live each day if I felt that was it. He's gone. That's it. I
Let's
have
talk
to.
about that. Yeah, let's
Mm,
talk about that a little bit further. Have you always believed in the fact that there is more, or has that been something that since his passing has been more of like, let me let me for sure adopt this belief because this is what's going to bring me hope? Or have you always believed the fact that there is more to this
I've
life?
always been very, very fascinated by the universe and why we're here and who are we and what's beyond us.
Yes.
I've never experienced grief before, though. I've been very fortunate in my 46 years on this earth that I've only ever lost two people, and that grief was incredibly different to what I'm experiencing now. So this is the first
Mhm.
where I've been massively impacted upon, and this is where I've really um, had to focus more on the beliefs that there is an afterlife, and I've really delved into it more. I've really tuned into it, and my belief has got so much stronger as a result.
Mhm.
Um, and I think, yeah, going forwards, I am looking more into it each and every day. I'm finding new ways that are helping and strengthening my belief and giving me more hope. And just as you said before, the connection, it just makes that connection so much stronger. And that's what helps me get through each day, because I feel like an only sibling now, and only, it's mum, dad, and just me. I don't have any brothers and sisters. And yet I do have a brother in spirit, and that's what keeps me going.
Yes, I love what you're saying, Lindsay, because I can relate to that so much, to everything you're saying, that I do not, I sometimes, and part of the reason I even started this podcast was my own curiosity of knowing whether people that had experienced grief that maybe did not believe in something else, how they would also con- how they would navigate grief, knowing if, like, by chance that was it, like if that was just
Yeah.
the end, like how different it would look. And it's just that curiosity of knowing of people of different beliefs, how what is it that kind of helps them in that journey of grief as well. um for me, yeah, as you are, like you said, for me it's also that belief and that there is more, and that we're this is just a transitional space we're in, that our real being is our
Mm.
soul, and this one
Yeah.
here on this plane, and the material part was just one of the stages of our
Yes.
development, not the whole stage of our development. The rest is just all in spirit form. That's at least my belief. But therefore I don't see it as the end, just a transition. But in it, it does has brought me a lot of comfort knowing that
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
Because even just that comfort of the reconnecting as well, not only here that you can connect with him in that, in some shape or form, like you said, in the forms of energy or these little messages that he leaves, but for you, the feeling of that when you pass away, that you're, reunited type of connection, is that also something that you think of?
Yeah, I did my own sort of self-healing meditation a while ago where I did connect with him in spirit, which was so beautiful. Um, I sort of felt myself sort of transition up into his space, and we met across the ocean. And I can still picture and feel that we reached out and touched hands, and
Mm.
we were sort of just like flying around particular places that we know, where we wanted to spread some hope to people, that his friends and our parents. We flew together over to our parents' house and sort of put them in a bubble of safety, and a sort of support bubble to look after them. Um, and my brother was also sprinkling some white feathers around our parents' house as well, just to leave little signs and messages so mum and dad know he's around. Um, it was so beautiful. It was. I'm seeing it in my mind now, just that journey that we took together. Um, and when it was the time for him to move away and for me to come back down to earth here, I didn't feel afraid of death anymore. Um, I knew that I've got time on this earth now. I've got a purpose, turning this pain into purpose. I've got a mission, and this is what I've got to do before it's my time to pass. And this is what he wants me to do. He's given me the courage to be me. And this is what I'm really focusing on. So I know that when it's my time to go, that I know that he's there waiting along with all our other loved ones who have passed over. Does that make any sense whatsoever?
It makes so much sense. I have chills. And what you said, that he gave you a purpose to be, the courage. He gave me a courage to be me. I have
Yeah.
a friend who I also interviewed on the podcast. Her brother also died of by suicide,
Oh gosh.
and she said, like, the way I titled that episode was, "This experience cracked me open." Like, because that's what she felt. There was kind of like living that was like this rebirth of even herself within
Yep.
that.
And for me, I would say, this is what I've been saying now, is that I've found my voice because I've always been very quiet and not speaking up and just being very British and sort of, mustn't say this, mustn't say that. Whereas now I feel that, right, this has happened. This is big. My brother is now in spirit world. I've now found my voice. I will speak up. I will do the things that I've been afraid to do in the past because, I'm doing it not only for myself, I'm doing it for him. Um, and yeah, I'm using his voice too. And yeah, I'm using my voice. I'm much more open. I will say how I feel, what I think. Um, yeah, it's
I
completely life
love it.
changing. It's completely changed my life.
And it's interesting, yeah, because it, again, it's so close to when it happened, Lindsay, that I'm in awe that in these 8 months that you and when we're recording, because by the time I launch this one, how many months it would have been when the listeners, but
Yeah,
from
sure.
June till now, that you have already made all these um reconcil I don't know if that the word if that's a word, well, all the yeah, these reconciliation. I don't think that's the word I want to use. Words can sometimes
Um,
just not be. Sometimes they're not my thing. Sometimes they just don't come. They just like chunk. Didn't you know? I'm like, what is the word I want to use? Yeah, just being able to reconcile. I think that's what it is. Reconcile with what's happened
yeah,
and give it purpose.
yeah.
That is incredible, because it is, again, one of these proofs that it's not about the time necessarily that goes by. It's about the person that's experienced something. What tools do they already have? And that we will, if you don't mind, we'll go into that aspect, because you were already a mind coach before.
Mm,
So what tools this person has that then helps them then navigate certain situations, and then have the ability, like you just mentioned, of turning pain into purpose,
mm,
um, is different, right? So again, it's not that 10 years go by and then suddenly you do it, everybody is just so different. So
yeah,
for somebody hearing that maybe still has not been able to find a way of turning their pain into purpose, don't feel discouraged when you hear somebody that maybe has already found that in a short period of time. Just know that they've had their own story behind the
yeah,
scenes, kind of
yeah,
thing, that
yeah.
you've not seen, that has allowed them to do that in the now. So
Totally.
let's go a little into that. So into your mind coaching component, and as to why it is that in June you stopped doing that.
Yeah, so my background, sort of what I've learned in terms of I've done neurolinguistic programming and
Uh-huh.
hypnotherapy, havening techniques, TFT, life
What is
coaching.
that one? I haven't heard of that. What is it?
Which one?
The last one. Havening.
Havening.
Yes, I haven't
The
heard that
the
one.
havening techniques. It comes from Dr. Ronald Rudin and Dr. Stephen Rudin in New York. Um, um, Gosh, how many years ago?
I'm gonna have to
About
look
12
into that.
years ago. Um, and he's a neuroscientist, and he's come up with he was looking at sort of things like TFT and energy healing, and trying to work out how does this all work, because being a neuroscientist, he's looking very much into the workings in the brain. And he developed his own psychosensory modality, which he calls the havening technique. So haven, to put you in a safe place whilst
Oh,
we
okay.
are releasing the trauma and the anxieties and the fears. Um, it's incredibly powerful and effective, and I've used it myself. I've been doing self-havening, um, which is basically using sensory touch to make changes in your own brain chemistry, to put you in a calmer state, a more relaxed state. As I say, it can go into a whole therapeutic setting where you're actually dealing with clearing trauma,
So
and
it's
a
a
lot
little
deeper.
different than hypnotherapy, but similar results in terms of it's just kind of taking you to a different state, yet not necessarily hypnotized.
Yeah, it's not hypnosis. It's more of, I mean, you do go into a nice trancey, calm state. You can do, because it's so relaxing, because we're naturally releasing serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine, the chemicals. It's making chemical changes in the brain, and we're focusing and targeting with the amygdala, which is
Okay.
where we can encode the trauma. So it's very much focusing on releasing um, encoded traumas through events that have happened. So we've worked a lot with people who've been through like the London bombings,
Hmm.
horrific things.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, anything can be traumatic. It's one person's trauma can be different to another person's
absolutely.
trauma. So it's
I mean, what you experienced was trauma.
yeah, and actually that's what helped me doing the self-havening, helped me with sleep, because when Stuart was first missing for the first 3 days, um, I was really struggling to obviously go to sleep, because I was wondering, where is he? Where is my brother? And I couldn't
Mm.
sleep. And I remember just stroking my arms, it's like giving yourself a hug and just stroking your arms,
Mm.
um, humming a tune and just distracting my mind. But the stroking is what's releasing the delta waves, which is what we need to target in the brain. And that is very soothing and comforting. And I did that every night to help me sleep. And whilst I only managed about 2 or 3 hours sleep, I think that's still incredible when somebody you love is missing. And then when we heard the news that he'd died, I obviously went into a state of shock. Um, and my husband did some havening with me just to calm me down, and to help me feel safe, because in that point in time I was encoding the trauma of being told that my brother had passed by
Yes.
suicide. So havening helped massively, and still does, when I just need to just get myself in a much more calmer state of mind. And I think I've been very blessed, I know, because a lot of people don't know the learnings that I have, that have led up to this, or sort of that I've trained with, that I've experienced, that I've learnt leading up to this point. So had I not known all of these modalities, these methodologies like the NLP, the hypnotherapy, the coaching, um, the mind programming techniques, I wonder how I would be doing now. Um, I, I could be a complete mess, in tears every day, and not knowing what way to turn, and how to do anything. And which is why I feel so blessed that I've got these skills and tools and resources, and that I've used them for myself to help me get through each day. And that's not to say that every single day I'm singing and dancing and happy. I'm
No, of course.
absolutely not. I'm,
You're
you know,
not, Lindsay. You're not. You're not throwing like flowers and la la la.
I really do have days when I am in such a bad place, and even I don't even want to apply any of the learnings that I've learned to myself, because I
I was
just
just
know,
gonna say that. I was just
yeah,
gonna say that sometimes we really do just want to feel what we're
yeah,
feeling.
yeah,
Like we
exactly.
don't,
I want to
right?
grieve.
Yes,
I want to sit with this emotion of, I'm
absolutely,
sad,
absolutely.
I'm upset, I'm emotional, I want to cry, I want to scream. So I'll do it. That's exactly what I'll do. And I will do that. I will not, I will let myself experience it and go through it, rather than just brush it aside, or, oh, well, I can clear that. Because no, I
Yes.
need to experience it. It's all part of the grief. And
Absolutely.
that's important.
That made me think now, since you have 4-year-olds, that made me think of even just when a 4-year-old throw like, or a 3-year-old or 2-year-old, or even a older one throws a tantrum, as we say it here, a fit. How do you call it in the
They call
UK?
them tantrums here, yeah.
Tantrums, and in that you as a parent, we're like trying to like fix it, right? But no, they
No,
literally need that
give them
release.
space. Yeah, that's
Yes,
what
they
I do. If
need
if
that
my little
release.
ones are like that, if they're struggling with an emotion or they can't explain how they're feeling or they're frustrated by something, I let them just have that space to just get it out their system. And it's
Yes.
actually really good to just do it. You see, and I learn from them. I've
Yeah.
learned a lot from them. So they are, as I said, they've been sent to me, I think,
The right
possibly again, the
timing.
universe knew this was going to happen. Maybe there was a reason for me to have
Uh-huh.
twins at this age, because this is the good time for them to be the age they're at, to help, for me to help them, for them to help me, for me to
Vice
learn and grow
versa.
from them too. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
all believe all these things are connected together. It's like a big jigsaw, and everything's happened and it's all coming together. And I know some people don't like the phrase, oh, it's all meant to be. I kind of think like that. I think these things are meant to be. That's just me. That's just how I think
I
about it.
I
And I know
I
some people
I
don't.
believe that. I believe that too. I know that when somebody has just had an experience like the telling somebody that may not necessarily feel that is not that
Mm,
comforting, right? Like when you say, "Oh,
mm,
well, it was for the best," or da 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 da, or they're no longer suffering. Those kind of like phrases that in that moment for somebody that's just experienced the loss, those don't make sense.
no, no,
They don't help them in that
no.
particular moment, right? But as we start going into like living it and seeing all these little, like you said, jigsaw puzzle, all these puzzles kind of pieces of the puzzle fitting together, you realize this was it was part of a plan, kind of. It was not just like a fluke. It was part of all of it is part of the whole.
This is how I believe it to be. This is, yeah, I just believe there's something bigger, and it's all, as you say, part of the plan, part of the bigger picture, something, because, we're not all going to live to the age of 100. We all die at different ages, don't we? So
Yes.
it's, yeah. And the other thing that I've learned, which has helped, is the writing, um, which I've done pretty much early on from day one. I just started writing. A lot of it was waffle to start with, but I had to get out of my head. And writing, it almost felt like my brother was holding my hand whilst I was writing.
Uh-huh.
Um, so again, a way, it's another way of expressing emotions. Writing has
What
been
would you
so
write?
powerful.
Would you write what was going on in your day? Would you write about your feeling? I wrote too, but I would write it like to my sister, and I'm talking more about my sister than I am about my mom, even though it was longer away, ago. But just because it was my first like really major,
Yeah.
close. But so would you write to him, like as if you're talking to him, or would you talk about your emotions? What is it that you would write?
I think to start with, I was starting to write my emotions, and then I was writing as if I was having a conversation with him.
Uh-huh.
Um, and he was then the words that flowed, because it changed from my head and started coming from the heart. And the words that flowed back were like coming from him. So it was like we were
Yes,
having a
yeah.
conversation. And as a result of the writing, I've ended up writing a book,
I love
um,
it.
called
I saw that
What's,
on your
yeah,
website. Yeah, it says coming soon, and all these other things that are coming soon, which I can't wait to hear more about.
I'm very excited that I've got another massive project that I'm working on now, which again is about supporting suicide loss survivors. And that is incredibly exciting. And I've had to throw myself into keeping busy and doing these things, which I know can also be seen as avoidance. And I know that. Um, so I am now making time to make sure that I'm having time where I'm just not focusing on all these things that I'm working on, to just be me and to be okay with that, because that's the time when I feel a little bit vulnerable, because I feel I'm just me, the raw, authentic me, dealing with grief. And that's where I need to, I think, spend more time at the moment, because I know I'm aware I've been throwing myself into writing and supporting others, helping his friends and doing things for other people and our parents, and writing the book and doing this new project, that I need to just stop sometimes and just be.
I can relate to that. Oh, I mean, I can understand that, but at the same time, what you're doing is still revolving around his loss, right? So it's still
Yes,
revolving, and it's still revolving around helping others that are dealing. So it feels still that it's still part of that journey of grief because it's still in relation to his death. It's
so
not
true.
necessarily isolated, like, let me just go and, I don't know, do something that does not have to, you're
Yeah,
constantly actually you're talking about death, you're talking
a
about
lot. Yes,
suicide, you're talking about the you know what I mean? You're helping others around it. So by helping others with their grief journey is also helping you. So
yes,
at least that's how I feel.
yep, yep.
And maybe that's because that's the way I do it. That maybe that's because that's the way maybe we're both avoiding in the same way. But so I don't know. I feel that it's still all related. It would be different if you had like navigate into computer work and just like mindless kind of
Yeah,
doing. But no, you're writing a book that is all about this. It's like
exactly. The
you're having to
focus,
tap
yeah,
into, yeah, you're having
I
to
have
tap
to.
into
I
these
can't,
emotions.
yeah. As you say, it's all connected, it's all part. As I say, that's how my life has changed so much since June, because my full focus is very much now on this is my mission, this is my purpose. I've got to speak up more about suicide and let people know, to remove this stigma of suicide, to also with grief, that there's such a this belief that, oh, okay, we'll grieve for a few months and that's it, done, move on with your life, get back to
Mm.
normal. No, that's not how it works. Especially with someone you love so much, when they leave, the grief is something you learn to live with, and
Yeah.
it's a journey that you take going forwards. You don't just say, right, I've grieved for 3 months and that's it, finished, done. And I've been learning that, because I've never grieved this way before. So it's still very much, each and every day is a learning curve for me. I'm learning so much each and every day, each and every month that goes past. And I haven't as yet come up to his first anniversary of when he died, or it's our birthdays next month. So
I was
even that
just
in
gonna
itself,
ask you that.
yeah.
That's exact actually, I thought of that before. I'm like, has your birthdays happened yet? So in April what is your birthday then?
Mine's the 28th, his is the 29th.
Okay.
So I am, yeah, just not even sure what I want to do on those 2 days, because I know it's going to be very difficult for mum and dad, particularly mum. That's her firstborn's birthday, but it's also my birthday, and I don't know how to help them. But I want to do something memorable on that day, which is why I've decided to launch the book on that day, on his birthday.
Are you
Um,
serious? So you already have done that much of the book that you're already ready
yeah,
to launch it?
I know.
Lindsay,
I don't know how I've done it. It's all it's
and
a
with
blur.
4-year-old twins
I
running
know.
around.
Just actually weirdly, just you saying that to me makes me think, oh my God, what's happened? What have I done?
It
I'm
is
just
like
like,
a
whoa.
this outpouring of
Yeah,
wow. So
yeah.
he wrote it with you. He wrote it with you.
I do.
And
Yeah, I feel like he's my co-author. He's written with me in spirit, and it's not just me that's written it. Yeah.
what is the book about? Is it your journey? What is it about? So that the and what do you have the title yet of what it's going to be?
Yeah, I've
And I'm going to put your website, of course, on the show notes for people to be on the
thank
lookout.
you.
So tell, and maybe by the time this episode releases, it's close to that launch. So,
Yeah, gosh.
um,
No
so
pressure.
No pressure, no pressure, no pressure. All I'm
Um,
gonna say right now is, listeners, go to the link right below and purchase your book. Let's just bring it. Let's do that whole thing of vision casting already. So, so tell a little bit of what is it about, and if you have a title.
yeah, I do. I've called it What Suicide Left Behind, because that's what it's all about. It's about, well, what's been left. Suicide has happened. I've lost a loved one. There's all of us grieving behind. How do we move on? How do we deal with it? So it's talks about my brother and how he died, and a little bit of, I suppose, a journaling, I think you call it in America, where there's
Mhm.
I sort of detailed a little bit into the police helping and the funeral and the inquest and about that. But then it goes into explaining what is suicide, what is grief, um, how to navigate your own grief journey, because no two grief journeys are the same. Nobody can take your grief away from you. It's your grief, and it's for you to find a way to navigate in your own time, in your own way, and how you. Nobody can do anything. Nobody can fix you. You don't need fixing. You just need
Yes,
time to grieve. So I basically just sort of. It's really to help somebody just who's been affected by suicide, to just take them through the journey that I've been through to this point here. Because there will be another book that follows for the next part of the journey. And it's just to give them the support. It's like I'm reaching out with a hand to say, I'm holding your hand. If you need someone to just walk you through your next few months, few years, or whatever, I'm here because I've been in this place. Because it's all very raw. It's the first 6 months of my grief. So it's all very raw and authentic and to the point. And it's hopefully just give somebody some support and guidance and to say, I'm here and I understand and I'm with you.
oh, that's so beautiful. Had you ever written before?
No, no, never. But as I said, it just something that happened. I just felt this overwhelming sort of power within me to just, I have to write, I have to write. And then it sort of moved from coming out of my head and it started to come from the heart. Um, and that's where I found it to be the most sort of cathartic. Um, it, it's helped me so much. So I would say to anybody who perhaps is not sure how to express their emotions, try writing. Try just,
Yes.
even if it's just single words, it might then turn into a sentence, turn into a paragraph. See what happens. Go with the flow. Um,
Do you write pen to paper, or when you write your book, is it on the computer or is it pen to paper?
Both, actually. Sometimes it's using a pen, writing on a little notebook, and I'll just flow. And other times I'm just sat in front of my computer and my fingers will just be tapping away at the
Yes.
keyboard. And I'm not even sometimes sure what's coming out. It just seems to flow. Um, and I get really into the zone. And I find that so powerful.
It's so beautiful because it's like you're just opening the channel and just allowing it to
Yeah.
just come through. And I've heard that by authors, I think it's Gilbert, I think the one that Eat, Pray, Love, Melissa, is it Melissa
Oh,
Gilbert?
okay. I
Uh,
can't think of the name, but I know who you mean. Yeah.
so I remember hearing an interview she did, and I feel bad if I'm by chance saying the wrong name, but it is Gilbert is her last name. So that when she was a little girl, she'd be out playing in the fields, and all of a sudden she'd get like this idea like of something to write,
Mm.
and that she'd like run home, run, like, and like grab the pen and just like put
Yes.
it to the paper before it
Yes.
would leave her,
Yes.
because it was that kind of like a stroke of lightning that you
Yep.
just have to like just go with it. And so it's more of that, yeah, opening of that channel to allow it. And I've heard so many different ways of people describing inspiration, and of being that is really not ours. It's all it is just like there's this pool of pool of inspiration out there and is just waiting to be tapped into, just open the faucet basically.
Yeah.
Whoever's ready to be the one to open the faucet
Yeah.
is the one that
Yeah.
ends up putting it, you know, onto paper or onto a song or onto you know um creative piece, like theater or whatever it is, all these creative sources. I can't wait. I can't wait to, and then to have you back on when you've actually, have it launched. I would love that, just to see how it feels and to talk about the actual book itself. I'd love to have you
Sure.
again, Lindsay.
Sure.
And so now also talk a little bit then about then the support that you've created then about helping others, or that you're starting to do.
Yeah, this is exciting because the other thing I've found that again that's helped me with my grief, because obviously we've been in lockdown for the majority of it, so we haven't been able to go out and mix with anybody. I found that um, singing and dancing again is another way of expressing my emotions, but also gives me that little bit of an uplift, just can change my state. So if I'm feeling really down and low, tearful, and just stuck in a bad place, I'll go into the kitchen, put on my favorite Latino music, and I'll just start dancing, or I'll
You
just
need
start
to tell me.
singing.
Now that you said Latino, afterwards you got to tell me which artist you play. No.
Enrique, I love Enrique. Enrique Iglesias. Oh,
You laugh.
can't get
Do
enough of him.
bailamos, let the rhythm take you over,
You
baila.
see, I'm already jigging away to that. Um, so this really uplifts me, and obviously because of the twins as well, they join in if they're here, and we have a sing and a dance. And but I find the singing element as well stops me from going into my head and
Uh,
having the sort of negative internal dialogue that I was having, but certainly in the early days where I was just questioning the why. Because with suicide, there's always the questions
yes,
why, how, what happened, what could I have done, the guilt, the blame, the shame. There's so much going on that makes it a complex grief that
yes,
I felt my head was getting overwhelmed. So singing clears out my head completely because I'm just focused on the song words and the singing, and I get into that zone of music and dance. So what I've set up and I'm working on very much now is it's a massive project, which is an online community bringing people together. And we've got our first practice group next week, where we've got a choir. So we're coming together to sing songs, so we're all connected because we've all lost somebody, a loved one, to suicide. So we're all in different stages of our grief. Um, but we are singing songs together on a weekly basis online. We also have a dancing one. So again, we're coming together to do dance classes online, and there's lots of other, it's like having a tree, and there's these different branches coming off with different ways. So we've got a arty one, a writing one, different ones that you can join in on. Um,
it's
and
art
it
therapy.
allows
It's like
somebody,
art therapy. Yeah, like just
yeah.
artistic way of expressing.
So
Beautiful.
instead of the sort of traditional therapy of taking medication or talking therapy, I found that this is just an alternative for somebody who says, I don't want to do that. I want to do something. I just want to feel good. I just want an hour for me just to switch off from everything and just dance. Or I just want to paint a picture. But I don't want to do it by myself. I want to be amongst others that are with me, and we're in it together. So it's just bringing everyone together. So there's weekly classes, and it's all connected to our loved ones. So all the sort of art pieces that we'll be creating are all connected to making memorial items for our loved one, things that give us, um, bring memory or positivity or hope. There's all a big connection there. So that's what I'm working on, and then alongside that, I'm doing a local running group. So again, because being outdoors, being in nature, walking or running, and I don't run at all, but I'm doing this for my brother. Um, there's a charity that's local that does running to beat suicide. So again, I'm setting up my group here in Tunbridge Wells to allow people to come together, just to give them that time and space, just to feel the fresh air, the open door outdoors, and just be with people that are in a similar space.
Oh, so beautiful. So
I'm
for the
exhausted saying all
workshops,
that.
so for the workshops, the ones coming on,
Mhm.
online, that will start the next week as we're recording this, and we're recording this in March. So that they could, for future ones, people can just sign up
Yeah,
online for
what
that.
we're doing at the moment is we're beta testing it all. So we're
Perfect.
making sure it all works and all coming together. And I'm planning to launch that again on the 29th of April alongside the book. So they'll be launched together. So
Beautiful.
that's the 29th of April. And we've got some other new ideas to mix in with that as well. But it's massive and it's a huge project. But I really
Love it.
hope it takes off and helps and brings people together. And because unfortunately suicide is on the increase. And I think we just need to speak out more about it and help those
Yes.
that are affected by it.
Especially now in which people that may have, either depression or things like that and are
Yeah.
isolated
Yeah,
from the world, then it is increasing um, even more, right, with
it
the
is.
circumstances of what's going on in the world. Um, I absolutely have loved everything you've said. I wanted to ask you one more. What was the other thing I was going to ask you? Um, regarding that. Oh, yes, I wanted to ask you this. What are you grateful for in this experience? What have you learned about yourself or grown, or I mean, you've already shared a lot of what you've grown, but in general, that you would otherwise not have maybe known had you not experienced grief, had you not been experiencing grief?
I think I'm very grateful for, obviously I want to recognize my brother for being my brother, for everything he's done and for still being beside me, albeit in spirit, but I'm very grateful for being able to be his sister. Um, but also I have so much gratitude for, I just feel so much more connected to people. I feel much more a connection of love with other people now, um, because I think I feel I've opened up more, and so I'm able to understand others better and empathize better, and there's a much more of a two-way connection, whereas before I felt very closed off. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, I do.
Um,
It's as if you tapped into the other emotions within you that to create even more empathy towards
mm,
others, that therefore allows you a deeper connection.
yes, that said it perfectly. Because I I think up until, yeah, Stuart died, I was very much just kept things and feelings bottled up. Whereas now, if I love but somebody, I will tell them I love you. Whereas before wouldn't be able to say that perhaps. I just, yeah, I feel, as human beings, I do feel that we are so much more connected as humans. We are all connected together. Um, and I think this, this has completely turned my world upside down, but in some ways for the better. I feel that this is actually, is it wrong? I don't know. I feel like
No,
saying it's
no,
a
you know what?
blessing, but no, no.
Don't think it, because the moment you think it, then you
Yeah,
start thinking what I'm
exactly.
saying may mean as if I am great. It's not that we're trying to say that we are grateful that our loved ones passed away. That's not what we're
Yeah,
saying. We're saying this happened, and you're going into the NLP part of
yeah,
your brain, maybe
yeah,
the words, but
yeah.
but it's more like, yeah, this happened, but I still can find gratitude in having
Oh,
lived through this. It's not that you're like, oh, thank goodness, no, that's not. We, of
no,
course, we would want them
yeah.
here with us, right? It's not that. It's, yeah. So Yeah, with them, and I hear that's why I sometimes even phrasing the question of like, what are you grateful
Yeah.
for? What have you grown in this experience is hard for me to sometimes figure out how to phrase it so that the person doesn't think that I'm saying that they're
It's
happy
it's
that yeah.
a light has been switched on, and I've
Mm.
now got a real purpose to really live and do make this life count and make things happen and grab these opportunities and do things and not waste life at all. It's just like he's given me this powerful sort of, or passed a baton on to me or something to say, right, go live your life, go do what you want to do, be who you want to be the real you, to have the courage, just do it, just live it and just shine and yeah, I feel blessed.
Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful. I feel blessed to have you here sharing this journey and your learnings in this short amount of time, Lindsay. And I'm
Thank
so
you.
grateful that you uh, were open to sharing this and that we met on the little clubhouse chat
We
there of of grievers. And I'm just, yeah, just very,
It
very
was meant
grateful.
to be.
It was, I again, part of it's all part of the plan,
Yes.
all a part of the puzzle. Is there anything else you'd like to leave? And if you want to just say the name of your website again, I'll put it at the bottom. But if you want to just
Well,
say it to the
I've got a Facebook page and a group, again, which is called What Suicide Left Behind, which is also the name of the book. I haven't as yet confirmed the main website, so I'll have to tell you that at a later date.
okay, perfect. And then the Instagram, what
Oh,
is that a
Instagram, I'm Linzi Meaden, on
perfect
Instagram.
on
Yeah.
Instagram? Perfect. Thank you once again.
Thank you,
I don't
Kendra.
want the conversation to end because I want to still keep on picking your brain because I still have more questions. It'll have to be part two. It'll have to be
Yes.
part two. Thank you.
You're wonderful. Thank you, Kendra.
Thank you again so much for choosing to listen today. I hope that you can take away a few nuggets from today's episode that can bring you comfort in your times of grief. If so, it would mean so much to me if you would rate and comment on this episode. And if you feel inspired in some way to share it with someone who may need to hear this, please do so. Also, if you or someone you know has a story of grief and gratitude that should be shared so that others can be inspired as well, please reach out to me. And thanks once again for tuning in to Grief, Gratitude, and the Gray in Between podcast. Have a beautiful day.